I'm about to show you the exact routine that I follow day to day as someone who's closed over $100 million in sales. My name is Christian Jack. Since 2021, I've closed over $100 million in sales deals. Been doing this for a while now, and this channel is meant to help you do the same. So if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you are a returning member, thank you so much for returning. Got another banger here for you today. Now, this video is not meant to be a checklist. It's not meant to be a do this or do that and you'll win or you'll fail. It's just what I personally do most days because it helps me feel clear. It helps me feel present. It helps me feel energized, impassioned, and ready to do my job at a very high level. So let's get into it. All right, now the first thing that I do each day is I wake up early. I wake up much earlier than I would like to. I'm not a morning person, but I choose to wake up early, right? Usually I'll wake up around 3:45 so that I can get to the gym around 4. On the weekends, the gym doesn't open until 5, so I'll usually sleep in until 4:45 on the weekends, just get an extra hour of sleep, catch up a little bit. Not because it's just some magic number, it's just quiet. There's no notifications, there's no messages, there's no cars out on the road, there's no other people out walking or running or doing anything. It gives me time to think, breathe, and move slowly before the day starts speeding up. It helps me feel ahead of the day instead of, chasing it, trying to get after it. It also, just that feeling of being ahead changes your mentality as you go throughout the day. You have another level of confidence as opposed to feeling like you're always behind. In the mornings as well, I won't get too much into it, but there's such a thing as quantum energy, and there are things going on in the world at that time of day that there's just an energy there. Like, think about the people that actually wake up at that time. Do you know anybody that wakes up at that time? Probably not many people. I may be the first. And so waking up at that time is not for everybody. And for me personally, I like that feeling. And so I'm going to do that because it helps me feel the way that I want to feel in order to get in the state that I want to be in to perform at a very high level above what most people do, right? Now, when I wake up early, I head straight to the gym. On my way to the gym, I am hydrating immediately. I'm getting my steps in. I'm walking to the gym sometimes. I do various different things. When I hydrate in the mornings, I'm putting in creatine, I'm putting in protein powder, and I'm putting in electrolytes, as well as sodium, potassium, magnesium. So you're pretty much dehydrated when you wake up because you just slept for, 5-8 hours without drinking any water. So this salt also adds minerals and helps absorption of the water. It's a small habit that really just makes a massively noticeable difference for me personally. It also acts as a little bit of a wake up because if you have coffee first thing in the morning, your adenosine system isn't actually awake. So you need to essentially just wait a couple of hours to have coffee if you want to wake up, and caffeine doesn't really get processed in your body that early. So you need to have some sort of alternative. The electrolytes, the salt actually helps me with that quite a ton. Now, when I go to the gym, I usually follow a few different routines, but I kind of swap between doing swimming because I actually grew up in a pool, spending 5-6 hours a day in practice, competitive swimming. I went to the Olympic Training Center, all that kind of good stuff. Sometimes I'll do strength training. Sometimes I'll just do, walking uphill on the treadmill for 30 minutes with a weighted vest. Sometimes it'll be Stairmaster. It just kind of depends, but generally I'll just kind of like switch between things. I have a whole routine that I follow with that. And then after the gym, I go into the sauna for 15 minutes usually, and then I'll do a cold plunge afterwards for 5 minutes, and then I'll rotate back and forth with those for either 2 or 3 rounds. So I'm spending a pretty good amount of time after my workout on recovery. Then from there, I'm coming home and I'm kind of getting into my real morning routine, which is all of the breath work, visualization, praying, Bible reading, devotional, journaling, heart brain coherence exercises. There's a lot of different things that go on here, and it usually takes about an hour or so to get through everything. Like I said, this isn't supposed to be like a checklist for you. Just because I do this doesn't mean that you should, but I will say that I've tried a lot of different things over the course of the years, and this is what absolutely puts me in the best state moving forward throughout the day, all right? So include some like gratitude journaling, looking at yesterday, what your favorite things were from then, planning out, what you should do in the day ahead. If you don't journal at all, I highly recommend the 5-minute journal. It's a fantastic, just kind of easy entry point of a journal if you don't really know what to do. It's very well guided. If you don't sit down and visualize in the mornings, make sure you do that. If you don't have any sort of spiritual health routine, AKA, like I'm a Christian, so I read the Bible, I do a devotional, I pray, I do all of that in the mornings in order to put me in the right state and remember that that's the most important thing to me in my life completely. So that's really important. Now with the morning routine, I also do something called the morning formula combined with what I call the life mastery blueprint. So these are two assets that I essentially created for myself. It's two documents that are not the shortest in length, but they're definitely not like pages and pages. They basically just contain my goals, my priorities, the type of person that I'm trying to be, and I spend a few minutes reading through each of those every single morning to remind myself what actually matters, what I'm chasing for, what I'm moving towards, what my goals are, who I want to be in every area of my life. And those are available for every single person that joins the Sales Dojo. So if you want the actual documents there to go and make the template for yourself and see what I have put on mine, hit the link down in the description below and you will get them inside of the Sales Dojo during your free trial. So next after that, we're kind of getting into some of my morning movement now. So we went to the gym, we did this whole exercise. Now I just need to kind of like reset because that's a lot of really deep time. I'm going to do either some like mobility exercises. I usually do ankles, hips, back, and shoulders for mobility exercises. And I'll usually go out for a little morning walk. So now the sun is starting to come up at this point. It's like, 6:30-ish at this point. And I've just found that it's really good to get that morning sunlight. Obviously, it helps regulate your circadian rhythm and your system because when you get up before, the sun isn't up yet. And so generally, it's really good to get that sunlight straight in your eyes, straight in your skin. Light actually penetrates your skin. And there's a lot of really good studies that have shown the healthiest people in the world and the most, lots of longevity studies that have come from just spending more time in the sun. So make sure that you do that as well as just getting more steps in the day. Now, this isn't meant to be like a whole morning exercise. It's just enough to kind of keep waking your body up, get the blood flowing, and it just helps with energy and creativity for the rest of the morning, all right? Now, at this point, this is when my wife is usually getting up, and so she leaves for school fairly soon after that. She's a teacher. She loves it. I can't get her to quit for the life of me, and I'm so happy that she's doing what she wants to do. But what that means is that during the day, I don't really get to see her a ton until she comes home. And so when she gets up and gets ready for school, that's my time in the morning to get to spend with her. We start the day off right. We talk, we laugh, we tell jokes, we have breakfast sometimes, all that kind of good stuff. So I make sure that I spend that time with her while I can. And then as soon as she leaves, then I'm into working for the day. Now, usually nowadays, I don't really take any meetings before about 1 p.m. my time because I just find that I operate better with other people and talking to other people after I've poured into myself and I've done the quiet work for the day. And then I can go and, talk to other people and help them with what they need. When I was full-time selling, I would sometimes start taking calls at like 6 a.m. and then take a break to see my wife and then go back to calls. Sometimes I would start calls at 8 a.m., 9 a.m. It kind of just depended based on the season. And I've constantly kind of been testing to see what works best for me. And I've kind of come to the conclusion now that I don't want to take any calls before 1 p.m. in the afternoon. And then even then, there are some days that I don't take any calls at all. So I found that I work much better when I'm just kind of like doing the quiet work on my own as opposed to, spending all day on calls with other people. That's just me personally. I'm a bit more of a creator. I'm a bit more of an introvert. Obviously, I can do really well at sales, but then what that means is the time that I am spending on calls are for much higher level deals that are worth millions and tens of millions of dollars, right? So I don't really take a ton of just kind of basic sales calls anymore. I take much higher level ones. Now, with that, I then complete the day. I usually work for about a 2-hour block, and then I take a 30-minute break, and then a 2-hour block, and then a 30-minute break. I will batch my tasks so that there's not a ton of context switching. I'm not like switching tasks all day. I'm not doing this thing and then checking notification and then doing this, all that kind of good stuff. I have a team of assistants and I have like a full team, a full staff to handle a lot of the things for me. So I am really just kind of like doing the needle moving activities. And when I was full-time selling, it was kind of the same thing. I didn't do any admin. I didn't do any pre-call checks. I didn't do any sort of confirmations. I didn't do any follow-ups. None of that was done by me. It was all done by my assistants. And I was just there to be on a call at all times. And I literally had an assistant just to make sure that that was the case and then delegated the other things to the other assistant. So that way when I'm, working for 12, 18 hours a day, I can actually maximize all of that time in order to do what I did and close 100 million in a very short amount of time. So now the other thing to make sure that you get clear on this is you need to take breaks throughout the day. You can't just work for 12, 18 hours. I wouldn't even recommend working for more than 3 hours at a time without taking a break, right? Your brain needs breaks. Your body needs breaks. So make sure that you take them. What I found to work best for me personally is 2 hours of working and then a 30-minute break. I've gone for 3 hours of working before and then taking a break. I've done 2.5 hours of working before and taking a break. What really matters the most is if you're taking a ton of calls throughout the day, make it work with the scheduling of the calls. So take, for example, if you're taking 60-minute calls that are scheduled on the top of the hour, maybe you won't take a 30-minute break. Maybe you'll need to take an hour break, or maybe you'll take a 30-minute break and then do 30 minutes of like follow-ups or admin or whatever. If you don't have an assistant team that's really running all of that, then you can get back to calls. If you're doing 45-minute calls, what I used to do is do 2.5 hours of calls and then a 30-minute break. So that works out to be, 2 hours, 15 minutes of calls and then a 45-minute break is what it was. So it was basically 3 calls and then a 45-minute break. And then I got to the point where I was doing 30-minute calls, and that was really like the most productive time. So I could take, 4 sales calls back to back, take 2 hours, and then take a 30-minute break, and then right back to it. So 30-minute calls really work well with the schedule. It gives you a lot of flexibility if you're able to actually get everything done in that amount of time. I'm not saying that you should do 30-minute calls unless you're actually ready for it, because I would rather you close 1 deal in 90 minutes than 0 deals in 5 different 30-minute calls, right? It's a big difference. So figure out how you can take breaks throughout the day, but it's really important to be able to do that. I've personally found that in my breaks, there's a specific way to run them. Early in the day, I want to take learning breaks. I want to take exciting breaks, move your body breaks as well. So if you can, like if you have a book that you're reading, get it on Audible and go take a walk while you're listening to the book. If you're taking a sales training, listen to it while you're taking a walk. And then throughout the day, I'm going to kind of move away from movement to more enjoyment. So early in the day, I'm walking. Later in the day, I might just like go and play Super Smash Bros. For 30 minutes or something. It's up to you. Decide what you want to do. It may be going out for a walk and, go and get an snack, a kebab or whatever. Totally cool. Figure out what you like to do. But generally early in the day, it's more movement. Later on in the day is more focused on like enjoyment and less movement. During these breaks as well, I have different supplement stacks that I will take for each one. So as an example, later on in the day, for my last break, I'll have another 2 hours or so of work afterwards. And this is when my energy starts to go down. So I will specifically, during that break, do things to boost my energy level. So that means taking methylene blue. It means taking, cordyceps and lion's mane, things like that. It means maybe doing some jumping jacks, some push-ups, something to get my heart rate like boosted really quickly so that I'm in the right state to continue working for the day. It also might mean eating some berries with, B complex vitamins that have been shown to increase your energy levels as well. All sorts of different things that you can do to make sure that you don't actually tank for the last part of your working day. And then at this point, I usually stop working around 5:30 p.m. All right. There have been plenty of seasons where I've worked until 10 p.m., until 11 p.m., some days where I didn't even sleep at all and I just worked completely through the night. Like there's definitely been plenty of times where I've worked more. What I have personally found for me, though, as the general principle over the years, is to work a little bit less than you want to. Just slightly. Not a ton, but just slightly. Because what that will do is imagine if you're working more than you want to and you're just grinding. If you do that for enough days, you're going to burn out. You're going to be like, why the hell am I doing this? I'm working so hard. Oh, I'm tired of this. Oh, I got to get up and do it again, blah, 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 blah. And like you can train your threshold to go up over time, but generally that's not going to do very much for you aside from teach you discipline and consistency, which if you've done that, then you have that, right? So I would recommend early in your career, like work as much as you possibly can just to test yourself, just to learn what you're capable of and to teach your brain that like, it's okay, you're going to make it, you can push through, you can do hard things consistently over time and essentially just prove to yourself that you can do it. Once you can do that and you've proven to yourself that you can do that, then you can back off. And what I've found is figure out exactly how much you want to work day to day and then take off like 30 minutes from it, maybe an hour. So then what this ends up doing is you finish the day and you still want to work more, but you purposefully, intentionally cut yourself off so that the following day, when you wake up, you're like, fuck yeah, let's go. Like I'm ready to go, ready to dive into it. No hesitation. I'm excited because I know that, I left some things yesterday. I'm excited to get back into it and pick it up. Contrast that to if you had worked too much. When you wake up, you're like, here we go again. And of those two energies, which one would you rather have? And which one do you think is going to lead to you being more productive? Which one do you think is going to lead to you being happier? Which one do you think is actually going to lead to you having better results? You being exhausted and tired and wishing you weren't there, wishing you could be doing something else, or you being fucking excited and passionate and ready to start the day. I think it's going to be a really big difference. So I cut off my day at 5:30, and then everything from there is family time. I spend it with my wife. I spend it with, family. We go out on dates. We go do fun activities, all that kind of good stuff, make memories together. And then usually around 9 p.m. is where I'm going to start shutting down for the day. So this means no more phone. I have now not eaten for the past couple of hours. This is where I have my last drink for the day, which is chamomile tea with a little bit of lemon balm in it. Help me wind down. I put on, my Ray Optics blue light blocking glasses, switch all the lights in the house to the warmer colors, and no more screens, just do kind of like menial manual labor type tasks, clean up things, tidying here and there, and just relax. No reading, no nothing, no mental stimulation at that point. You are literally starting to shut your brain down. And then at 9:30 is usually when I will start doing my evening routine type stuff, like brushing my teeth and, under eye and, moisturizer. I do coconut oil that I swish between my teeth to keep them white. All sorts of different things there. And then I'm trying to be in bed by 9:45. Sometimes it's a little bit later. Hannah doesn't go to her schedule nearly as much as I do, my wife. And so sometimes we're up a little bit later, but I try to keep that as consistent as possible. And then I go to sleep and I do it all again. Now, I don't sleep as much as some people say that you should, and this will lead me into the final point that I'll make for this video, is that this routine only works if you believe that it works. Let me be clear, you don't need to copy any of this. There were times in my career where I didn't have a morning routine at all, taking 12, 14, even 16 hours of calls in a day, and I was still closing at a really high level. So this isn't about checking boxes. It's not about cold showers and journaling in order to make you a good closer. It's about being aligned with yourself. If you believe certain things are important and you're not doing them, then that's what will create that internal friction. And that is a topic in behavioral psychology called nonverbal leakage. If there is internal friction, if you're doing things that you know that you shouldn't be doing, or if you're not doing things that you know that you should be doing, it's going to create this internal friction that will leak out of you, both verbally and non-verbally, out of you, like your word choices, your passion, your energy, but then also non-verbally in terms of your body language, your energy level. There's all sorts of things that happen. But if you genuinely don't care about journaling or breath work or early mornings and you're still performing, then great. Keep doing what's working for you. Just don't lie to yourself. If your habits you believe should look like mine, then you should do those things. And if you don't, then you're sabotaging yourself. But if you don't believe that your habits have to look like mine, then don't fucking do them. And if you do them anyway, then you're just going to be lying to yourself. You're going to be doing it and feeling like it's pointless, right? How many times have you introduced new habits into your routine and then just like a week later, you just feel like it's pointless and then you just stop? It's good for you to stop those things because you feel like it's pointless. But if you feel like it has a reason, if you feel like it has a point, if you feel like it has a purpose, then you absolutely have to do it. That's the real routine that matters. So if you are absolutely serious about mastering sales, your routines, not just winging it on calls, but becoming a real sales professional, then join the Sales Dojo. It's completely free for the first 7 days. The link's down in the description. You get access to all the frameworks, call breakdowns, live trainings, and my own routine that I actually walk you through, a full health and habits course, all from the exact people who are doing it at the highest level. So don't do this alone. Click the link in the description below to start your 7-day free trial, and I will see you inside.